We welcome the participants to this webinar for fine-tuning DNS performance and hardening using Bind. Now I request Senior Director Sri B.S. Bindu Madhava to address the participants. Over to you, sir.
On behalf of CDAC and the project which we have undertaken on DNS security, I welcome all the participants for this fine-tuning of DNS performance and hardening using Bind. This particular topic is of very apt and important in the current days scenario for trying to harden the DNS and also try to sort of make sure that any wrapping or hardening doesn't hamper the performance. So let's hear the thing from the experts who have got hands-on in this particular field. Thank you, Balaji, and welcome to all the participants. Over to Balaji.
Thank you, sir. So we'll start the session. Sorry for the delay. We were expecting for the other participants also to join. So this is going to be a very, as Bindu Madhava sir has said, that this is a very important session. We request your valuable feedback and also your inputs during the session, so that it will also enlighten the other members as well as the our faculty members to improve their knowledge. And we request not only to our members will be demonstrating the whatever the points that will be covered now. At the same time, we also request you to try it out in your own systems wherever you are been working upon, and share your valuable feedback to us. So without taking much of your time, I would like to pass on the baton to Mr. Gopinath, Mr. Shubham Goyal, and Mr. Venkataswamy, the team behind this particular program. Over to you, Gopinath.
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon, everyone. So I'm Gopinath, and I'm here joined by Mr. Venkataswamy and Mr. Shubham Goyal. We'll be toggling between us three during this presentation without mentioning our names from one person to the other person. So this webinar is basically on fine-tuning DNS performance and hardening of a DNS server, which is implemented using a Bind software. Okay, right? So you can just see here on the slide we have our public DNS server, and the things which we are going to demonstrate now as part of this webinar has been implemented in our public DNS server. So we'll just start this session. Okay, this is the agenda for today's webinar. So we'll have a brief introduction. We'll talk about DNS, and we'll talk about the software Bind, and then we'll briefly cover the components of the Bind software, and then we'll cover the DNS query resolution, normal conventional way of DNS query resolution, configuring of performance and security on a DNS server which is hosted using a Bind software, enabling logging in Bind, and then implementation of RFC 8806, which is for reducing the round trip time and preventing few components of the DNS infrastructure from attacks, and preventing attacks. I mean, from propagation of the attacks. And finally, we'll conclude with a Q&A session. Okay, right. So, introduction. Bind is one of the most popular DNS server softwares. We have plenty of other softwares, but Bind was one of the softwares which evolved in 1980s, and University of Berkeley had developed that software. And Bind stands for Berkeley Internet Name Domain. It is a free and open source software, more importantly. Okay, so anyone can host, download Bind and host a resolver or a authoritative server using a Bind in their premises and use it. And it is a caching server, and it can also be used as an authoritative server. Caching server is nothing but a recursive resolver which has the caching facility, and authoritative server which can also resolve names, domain names. All the demonstrations done as part of this webinar are done on the bind version. So this is the portal, CIDNSsecurity.in is the website, and here we have the resources page. In the resources page, we have the bind software, which we have taken the permission from the bind community, and we have hosted the software here. And we have the manual for setup of a DNS server using bind software at this location, and the manual which we are going to use for this session is hosted as number 2 here. All right, so we assume that a server recursive resolver is set up using this manual hosted at this place, and a bind is running, and on top of that running DNS server, what are the enrichments that can happen in terms of security and performance is what is going to be covered here as part of the second manual, which will be the second manual. So ideally we'll be covering this manual today, which you can refer continuously during this session and after this session also, right? So the version of bind is 9.16.6, which is available here for download, and the setup deployment manual of that bind software is available for download here. Right, so bind components. Bind basically has 2 components. It is a name server and it is a lightweight resolver. And we know that bind comprises of several zone files, which help us in identifying the name servers, and it can act as a caching server, meaning if it has resolved a domain at one point of time, the next domain resolution can happen there in the cache itself instead of traversing the complete DNS hierarchy for the resolution, right? So the bind can be used to set up either a recursive resolver or an authoritative name server, right? And it has a lightweight resolver, which can be built into a operating system. Every operating system has a small resolver as part of it, meaning if our machine is visiting a particular domain frequently, the resolution can happen locally in our operating system itself, and that lightweight resolver of bind is also available. It can run as a daemon process on a local host for domain resolution. Here we have few tools, name server tools, which are present. We have here a popular tool which is called as Dig. Dig allows users to resolve DNS queries. I will just have a small demonstration of how to use the Dig tool. And Host converts host names into IP addresses. And as you know, the DNS hierarchy for both translating a domain name into IP address, and we can also do a reverse of that, translate IP address into a domain name which that IP address is mapped to. And NSLOOKUP to look up for the name servers of that domain name. Namedconf is a very important tool of bind, and this namedconf will help us in verifying any syntax error in the named.conf file or the configuration file. We here in our demonstration we have named the configuration file as named.conf. Any syntax error in this named.conf can be identified using this named checkconf tool. And we have the RNDC, remote name daemon control tool, which can be used for remote name daemon control by system administrators for controlling the name server. So we'll just have a small demonstration of these tools. Here we have the dig command, and this IP 223.31.121.171 is our open public resolvers IP, and we are trying to resolve a domain name using our public resolver. So I'm specifying dig at the rate the resolver which I want to use for resolution and the domain name. And here we get a reply which has it has several sections, and here we have the answer section. This is the question section. We questioned the resolver for this domain name, and we requested for a record type, which is default record type, and we got an answer. In the answer we got the reply. So this is the IP address of the domain name at which it is hosted. Right. Host is the other tool using which we can determine the resolver domain name, and here we get the cdac.in has an address. This is the IPv4 address, and here we have additional feature which is the IPv6 address, and it has two mail servers, MX1 and MX4. So these are the two mail exchange servers of cdac.in. So there are basically there are basically three addresses of it, four addresses of it. Then the name server lookup. So here we have the name server lookup, and this lookup is by default using the configured DNS server where it has to resolve. Might be the Google's DNS server 8.8.8 because we haven't specified this server as part of this NS lookup request. So it has provided the IP to us here. Domain name is this and IP is this, which is IPv4, and it has a IPv6 address too. Right. So Dig is a very important tool when we want to troubleshoot our DNS infrastructure. Dig is an administrative tool for querying DNS servers. It is useful for performing DNS lookups and displays the answers that is written by the name server. We just now saw that, and it can be used for troubleshooting. The working of a DNS server can be verified using Dig, and Dig stands for domain information grabber. Okay, so it grabs all the information pertaining to a given domain name. Okay, all right. So we have just set up a recursive resolver using the bind tool, and to verify the bind tool, version of bind tool we are running and what are the configurations we have done to that. We can use the named-v command. It's a capital V, named-V. There's a small version or small v version of that also. So this is the bind version which we are using. It's a bind 9.16.6, and we have these are the libraries which are included as part of that, and these are the default paths in which various types of files are going to be stored and returned to as the installation, as the server runs and does its job. So this is the so once we set up our resolver or the DNS server using the bind software, we can use this command to verify whether it's completely done or it's not yet complete. Okay. We'll just start with the basic one slide of basic cover on the DNS query resolution. So how does a DNS query resolution happen? Here I'm a user sitting here and requesting for the domain coednssecurity.in. Let us assume that coednssecurity.in is not a domain which I had visited earlier. So my operating system, my local operating system does not have any entry of that in its local DNS client, operating system's DNS client. So the request goes to the recursive resolver. Recursive resolver will check for the entry in its cache. If it is present, it returns immediately to the user. If recursive resolver also does not have the entry of coednssecurity.in in its cache, it forwards the request to the complete DNS hierarchy. So this is the DNS hierarchy comprising of the root servers, TLDs, STLDs, and the authoritative name servers. Right, all these are authoritative name servers, and this is the server where which the coednssecurity.in is hosted. If the recursive resolver does not find the resolution, is not able to resolve at its end by finding the resolution in its own cache, then it forwards the request to the root servers. Root server will reply back saying that it does not have the coedns security.in, but it knows which is the name server of COE DNS security. So the root server will return the address of the COE DNS security. It will return the address of .in, and then the request will go to .in, and .in will return the COE DNS security's address, and the COE DNS security will return the address of the machine where the COE DNS security.in is hosted. So finally, that goes to the user, and the user can directly access the desired domain which he wants to access. So these are the normal routines followed in a conventional DNS query resolution of any RR. So we'll just have okay. Here the next part is about configuring for performance and security. So Mr. Venkataswamy will take over for now for a few of the configuration part. Over to Venkataswamy.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Actually, for improving the performance of the DNS resolver or for security purpose, there are various attributes in the named.conf file which is used by the DNS server. So where we have to configure those particular attributes. One such attribute is dump file. This particular dump file stores the resolver cache. If it is not specified in the configuration, by default it will be stored as a named underscore dump .db. Suppose if it is specified, it will store into the specified location wherever we have specified. That particular file will be specified. There is one more parameter attribute called directory, where we will be specifying the actual directory where we have to store these particular files. Whatever we have specified, like dump file, statistics file, mem statistics file, or recursive file. For these particular files, we will be specifying actual root directory. So in that particular directory, we will be storing all these particular files. See, this dump file, it will store the resolver cache. And the next one is statistics file. This particular statistics file stores the statistics details of resolver. Statistics details of the resolver means how many queries it has resolved, if any errors are there in the queries, how many authoritative servers it is contacting, like that various different statistics details are there. Those particular details are stored in this particular statistics file. So here also we are defining one particular file to store these details. The next one is the mem statistics file. This one stores the memory usage statistics. So how much memory this particular resolver is using. So these kind of details are stored by this mem statistics file. So if we are not specifying this particular file, but it will also store it will be stored in a default file by name named.memstats. So if we are specifying it, it will store into that particular location. Next one is the recursing file. This particular recursing file has the details of the particular queries recursing at that particular point of time. So this one stores the queries that are currently recursing. Means whenever we have a request for a particular query and this resolver is acting upon that, so those details, particular details, will be in this particular recursing file. If not specified specifically in the recursing file, so the details are stored in named.recursing. And next one is so one more is mem statistics option is there. This one will write memory statistics to the file specified by mem statistics. We have already defined mem statistics file. Here in this mem statistics file, we have defined the location wherein to store the details of the memory statistics. So here, if we in mem statistics, if we specify S, then only it will store those details into the memstats file. Otherwise, by default, the option is no, it will not store those details. Next one is the managed keys directory. This specifies the directory into which to store the files that are managed DNS keys. If we are specifying DNS, if we are configuring DNSSEC validation auto, we have to define this particular thing where we can store the keys. Manage keys directory stores the keys of the DNSSEC and other things. And PID file, it stores the process ID of the server. So bind, whenever we are running this bind server, it will have a process ID, and that particular process ID is stored in a, we are defining a particular location wherein to store this particular process ID. So any application whichever wants to contact this one uses this process ID to connect to it. Next is the session key file. This server stores the TSIG session key generated by the named server. This one is DNSSEC validation. So here, if we are specific, this option enables the DNSSEC validation. If it is set to auto, DNSSEC validation is enabled, and a default trust anchor for the DNS root zone is used. So here the thing is, what is this trust? What is this trust anchor? Trust anchor, according to NIST, trust anchor is a public or symmetric key that is trusted because it is directly built into hardware or software or securely provisioned via out-of-bound means rather than because it is virtual. So, for example, X509 certificate is a privately or publicly trusted certificate. So for that, some trusted keys are there which are built into hardware or software. Those keys are stored in this, if we set it to auto, those keys are stored into this manage keys directory location. If it is set to as DNSSEC keys validation is enabled, but a trust anchor must be manually configured. So we have to configure those details. If it is set to auto, it will automatically enable and a default trust anchor is used. If it is set to no, DNSSEC validation is disabled. The default is auto. So unless bind is built with configure disable auto validation, in which case the default is yes. So over to. So now we have a demo of this particular properties. We are opening the manual, user manual, from which we are demonstrating this. So now by default, we are assuming that a recursive resolver setup is already set up using the first manual, whatever is shown by my colleague Gopi. And so we are assuming that a recursive resolver is set up using bind. And now again, we are assuming that an internet connection is there and that system has a valid IP address. Now here we are defining the named.conf file for basic performance and security, whatever properties or attributes we have discussed just now. So for using that, we can improve the performance and security of the DNS resolver. So first is navigate. See, these are the steps we will follow. Like we will go to this particular where location and we will create a directory by named, and after that in named directory we are creating two directories, data and dynamic. And again we are going to the named.conf file, which is the main configuration file of this bind server, and this named.conf file is in user local etc. The location of that named.conf file is user local etc. Now please see the demonstration. Now we are going to the location that is user local etc. And we are opening that particular named.conf file, which is the main configuration file of the bind server. See, so if you see here directory, we are defining these particular options. One is directory. So we want whatever files we have defined, like dump file, statistics file, mem statistics file, recursive file, or secret file, to go into this particular directory. This is the absolute path of the directory, that is user local var named, and into this directory we are saving these dump files. This is the relative path again, data cache dump, and statistics file data named underscore stats.txt, and mem statistics is named underscore mem dot stats. We are giving the file names by our own. Suppose if this is our customized file names, and we are saving into our customized directory location. So if we are not specifying this, by automatically it will generate into some predefined location, but we are changing the location of this particular files. We will uncomment now. Yeah. So if you see here we are telling allow query any, means any client can query this one, and recursion yes, and mem statistics whatever we have discussed earlier we have put yes, and here this mem statistics file we have given the location. Since we are defining yes, this one it will use the mem statistics file location, and DNSSEC validation we have set to auto. And we have the managed keys directory dynamic, wherein all the keys will be stored. And PID file is the location wherein the process ID of this particular server will be stored as a name.pid. Now we are saving the file. We have to use name.checkconf to see whether there are any syntax errors in the name.conf file. If one syntax error is there also, the server will not run. So we have to check for the syntactic errors in the named.conf file using named-checkconf tool. Suppose if there is any error, like suppose we will see one thing, we will remove one semicolon or some syntax error, and we can see whether it will, yeah, please save it. Yeah, run named.checkconf. Now, if you can observe, it is showing the location of that error, unknown, line number 39, unknown option. So by using this named-checkconf tool, we can identify any syntax errors if they are in the name.conf file, and we can rectify it. Now we will rectify it. Once again, we can check whether it is correct or not using name. Now, no errors. If no errors are coming, that means that that particular named.conf file is syntactically correct. Now, see, if you see that that particular named server is running, restarted. Now we have to restart the server since we have made changes in the named.conf file. Since we have made changes in the named.conf file, again we are restarting the server so that changes will get effect. So now the server is running. So now you can see the server server is on this IP 10.0.2.15. Now we are running again the dig command to know the details. So now we can see all the details after configuring those details. So it is showing the answer question section. We have question for a google.com, and answer section we are getting the IP address of the answer, particular google.com, and we are getting authority section wherein we are and the additional section details. Now we can see the location of the files. In the data directory, we have created already data, dynamic, and log directories. So now after we are using the RNDC utility, using which we are creating a dump file. RNDC dump file we have created. If you want to create a default, our cache dump file, we are using this RNDC dump file, and so it has created cache_dump.db in the data folder. And we have created statistics file also using this name_mem.stats. Memstats file. We are creating a recursing file, and you can see the name.recursing file which we are creating. And we are creating the secroots file also. So if you see, we have created all the like cache_dump.db, named_memstats file, named_recursing. We have configured our own files in our own location. So all the details which are generated will go into these particular files. And we can check the validation status of the RNDC by using RNDC validation status or check. Now we can see that this particular named.conf file we have already configured with DNSSEC validation auto. So it is telling DNSSEC validation is enabled. Now we just now we have configured the parameters for basic performance and security. Here there are some more parameters which we can configure and improve the performance and security of it. And one such attribute is minimal any. If it is set to S, the server replies only with one of the RR sets for the query name when generating a positive response. For any of type any, means if the query type is any, it will just give the details of that query. Server replies only with one of the RR sets. By default, it is no. And one more next parameter is query log. The query logging provides a complete log of all incoming queries and all query errors. Means whatever queries it is getting, the resolver is getting, if any errors are there also, it will store all the details. It will store all the complete details log. It will help in the auditing or security purpose, what kind of things are coming like that. And next one is zone statistics. If it is set to as the server collects statistical data on all zones unless specifically turned off on a per zone basis. By specifying zone statistics TERS or zone statistics none. So we can define zones in the named.conf also. So if we are specifying any zones, we can use these zone statistics to collect statistical data. And minimal responses, this option controls the addition of records to the authority and additional sections of responses. So for example, when we are using dig and we are a query for any requesting a query, it will give the information, total information it will give with all the details like answer section, authority section, and additional section, total information it will give. Suppose if we are setting this particular minimal responses to yes, then in that case this option is controlling the addition of records to the authority and additional section, which may not be required. So it is not required, so it may not give. If the option is yes, the server responds with only the answer section, which is required for the client, avoiding the authority and additional section, which may not be necessary. Thus, it helps in improving the performance of the resolver, speeding up the query. Yeah, now we will see the demo on that. Now we are going to user local etc where the named.conf file is there, and we are opening the named.conf file. Whatever parameters we just discussed, we are setting in this particular option section of the named.conf file. And we are saving the file and checking whether any syntax errors are there using named.-checkconf. So there are no errors, so it is syntactically correct. Now again, since we have made changes in the named.conf file, we have to restart the server for effecting those changes. So again, we have run the server. So now we can see that the server is running. Now we are again running the dig to see the details. Now if you can see the we are just getting the answer section, question section. That other authority section and additional section, they are not visible. So the performance, it will helping the improving the performance of the server. Yeah.
Comment करो.
So now again to check, we are telling again minimal responses to no to see whether what is the effect. Again, since we have made the changes, again we have to restart the server. Again, we will run we'll check whether the server is running properly or not. So the server is running. Again, we are running the dig command to see the details. So now if you can see here now, since we have put no, it is showing the details of authority section as well as additional section. So by putting minimal responses to yes, we are just avoiding these particular two sections, authority section and additional section, which may not be required. And the message size also is reduced. If we tell message responses no, the message size is more as well as the query time is more. When we tell minimal responses yes, the query time will be little faster as well as message size will be less. And you can see again again we have to restart the server. So now if you can see, the message size is reduced and so only we are getting the answer section, authority section and additional section are not visible.